We're good.
All right. Tim says we're good, so we're good. Well, welcome to our staff meeting at Image Church. How are you guys doing?
Amazing.
Doing great. Happy Tuesday.
Yay.
Skamazing.
Amazing.
Amazing.
I'm doing skamazing. Well,
We're inventing words too.
Sure.
that's right.
Why not?
I mean, I think it's good to be innovative, right?
Exactly. Let's do it.
We are created in God's image, and as image bearers, we're to be creative with the vernacular that we use, right? All right. Well, we're excited. We've been just discussing and dreaming and just excited about what God has in store. And today, I've mentioned that we want to come to you each week during our staff meeting for a little just equipping moment, a discussion moment, a vision cast moment. And right now, as I mentioned with Heather on Sunday evening, that we're moving toward an event on January 24th, whereby we're going to come together and we're going to worship and we're going to start, moving through the scriptures and just really doing life together, working together, dreaming together, and seeing God move. And as we move between now and then, in order for us to be able to be ready to roll, we need to inform you guys on some of the needs that are here. And just so you know, this is very normal in any church plant. You can type in church plants and inventory and what kind of lists you need for startup churches. And that's what we want to keep you in the loop on. And so we're in need of some technology in order to be able to be geared up and ready to go. And I know that some people really enjoy knowing, hey, I can purchase a particular item.
Right. Yeah.
I can, give to this type of a deal. So the goal today is just for Tim to really tell us a little bit about some of these needs, because he knows a lot more about technology than I do. I know that you might be shocked to learn that Heather's not the brains behind all the technological movement.
Don't you just look at me and think she's
Yes.
good with computers
Yes,
and technology?
tech savvy.
Totally.
I scream that.
Well, you have been doing the videos, so if you haven't checked out Heather's
yeah.
videos on the
Yeah.
image page, you should do that. So
I do know how to do
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
You know what? You are an Instagram girl as well, so
do like my
she does do
Instagram,
some crushing
so.
it there. Now I know that you look at me and think, Bobby really seems like an Excel kind of guy. Like he really knows how to work in those
facts and figures.
and figures and
Give
quadrants.
him an Excel sheet. He's
Exactly.
Gonna crush
I
it.
know you're feeling that, right? Well, nevertheless, Tim's been a saving grace to this team because he really is a generalist. He's got a lot of gifts in a broad way. And he took some time to put together some of the startup costs. Now, I want you to understand two things before I turn this over to Tim to talk to you about this for a little bit. And it's this. There's pre-launch startup gear that we're getting. And then there'll be kind of like, post-launch stuff that we'll be getting when it's time to launch. We don't know exactly what that'll entail. We might need a trailer, depending on if we don't have space to store stuff. So that will come into gear and be more clear as we move toward launch. For now, though, in order to have these worship services and to keep having this opportunity, and the stuff that Tim's talking to you about, like, it might just seem like equipment and dry, but it's the stuff that's going to create the worship experience for us. And so remember, it's about worship, right?
Right. Well, and I think, too, maybe you could speak to this a little bit, Bobby. We don't want to jump the gun on the Acts series, but I do remember in Acts, as they were coming together, they brought up needs
Yes.
to the congregation or to the community, and those needs were met.
Absolutely.
And so I think that is what we're doing here. We're just bringing specific needs. It's going to be a little bit more tangible this time in the needs that we're bringing. It's not just, hey, general startup cost kind of things. This is a little bit more itemized. I'm not going to go super into detail with why. If you do have questions as we're going through some things, you can ask them, or you can message me or whatnot, and I'll give you maybe some more of the reasons behind that. But yeah, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that in Acts, how that was just kind of part of the culture and what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were coming together, and I look forward to getting into Acts 2, 42 to 47. I mean, they were just sharing with one another as they had need. Now, keep in mind, the early church, they didn't have the luxury that we have. So sometimes people will become anti-building, so to speak. And I go, they're really kind of missing it, because the disciples still went to the temple at the times of prayer. So they were accessing the temple at the time of prayer. Well, when was the temple destroyed? AD 70.
70, yeah.
So they weren't able to go to it any longer. So they still went to that moment, and they had to go underground because they were being persecuted. We're fortunate enough that we can meet in space and be able to set up some technology and stuff like that. But we're going to structure the church in such a way that if we ever had to go underground, we'd be okay. So right now, in a sense, the church is underground. Rick Warren had a nice statement that I think I recently posted. When your church is all about one purpose, like your Sunday morning experience, you're not going to survive COVID. But when you're a church that builds out small groups, and you're a church that has service, and you're a church that's not just dependent on that one moment, guess what? You're a church that can outlast persecution, you can outlast COVID, these types of things. Well, in this particular season that we're in, we have the privilege to be able to meet in space. And that means that we're going to have some material items that we want to purchase. And the first item that I wanted to share is, since Heather and I moved from California, we've been so cold that it's a Whirlpool jacuzzi that we are wanting on your itemized list. No, I'm just kidding.
No, 8-seater. We want an 8-seater.
Yeah, we want an 8-seater. And next week, we will be having a meeting in the hot tub.
Oh, gosh. Hey.
I didn't know about that, but that's
didn't know
that's
about
good.
that. No.
But to that point, though, we do want to highlight this Sunday. We will be having a prayer meeting, a gathering at Abe's house. So Abe, thank you so much for checking this out,
Yes.
for being willing to host. That information went out in an email this afternoon about 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to know more information about that and you're on our email list, go ahead and check out that email. There's a link on there for you to register. And again, we're going to try to have a virtual option. We're going to have a Zoom meeting where if you're in California, if you are in New Mexico, if you are somewhere outside the United States, you can join that prayer meeting virtually, and just kind of hang out and keep one eye and one ear on what's going on until we kind of gather up and pray.
Now, why not keep 2 eyes and 2 ears? Why just one?
Well, because
what's the thinking there?
if you have I'm just thinking, if you have your computer up and we're kind of mingling around and talking and building relationship, you might feel a little bit strange being like, hey guy, hey, we're in the Zoom meeting.
Okay, I'm with you.
But there will be a specific time that we kind of say, okay, we're going to gather together in the living room or in a large space, and then we will have the technology, the computer and stuff there to feel like that everyone is gathered together.
Great.
So yeah.
Great. So Tim, why don't you talk to us though? Now we've kind of said, that in the Bible, they saw needs, they met needs.
Yep.
You even brought up the book of Acts.
Yep.
I think that there's this element that people might be interested in what this looks like. So talk to us a little bit about what you've identified.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and bring this up on the screen here. This is, again, one of Bobby's favorite things, an Excel document. And you'll notice that...
Hey, by the way, I love them. I just don't know how to do them. It looks great.
They are really helpful, yeah. So there's just a couple quick items. Again, a lot of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. If you've been to a large group gathering at a church at some place, you've seen some of these items. We have things like a sound console. We have audio cabling to connect the speakers to that sound console. We have some sort of TV or projector so we can display lyrics and slides that we design that as Bobby's teaching. If we want to play a video, we need to project that someplace. We have a stand for that so it can be mobile. It can kind of roll around if we need it to. A road case for some of the things that we can store this gear in. In-ear monitors, again, that might be something you're like, what is that? But that's so the band can hear the music, hear the instruments, hear their vocals, so that they can perform well, so that they know what other people in the band are doing. So that's really helpful. A streaming computer is the next thing on this list. Again, we have utilized some of my equipment, but if we're in another location, I wouldn't be able to take my stuff back and forth. So like in this situation here, we're just using my equipment, totally fine doing that. But we would like to have a dedicated streaming computer, again, because we know that people are from all over the place and that they are wanting to be a part of this virtually. And we've talked about our our vision of virtual church and what that looks like, and so that's a portion of that. Again, a presentation computer, what that means is for displaying lyrics or those videos that I was talking about, having a computer that's dedicated for that is really important. Renewed Vision Pro Presenter software, that is the software that we use to be able to present that stuff on the screen. This is one I think that everybody will kind of identify with, and that maybe will hit home, is email hosting. We've been kind of functioning using our personal emails so far, but we would love to have official, imagechurch.live email addresses, so you can email, and that's going to make things like signing up for different like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that much easier to have dedicated email addresses. So, and that does cost money. Web hosting, again, we've been kind of functioning with this church center web hosting stuff, which has been good, and we'll continue to utilize portions of that, but we will design a bit more elegant, a bit more excellent website that'll be more guest and user friendly from that standpoint. So web hosting is on there. Weekly planning and CRM software, that's just, again, you're getting emails from us. That allows that kind of thing will eventually cost money. I'm so thankful that Planning Center, the system that we use, lets us have a month for free to kind of get off the ground and test it out and get some things going. So we're in that free month period, but that is a significant cost of about $115 a month to have all those different pieces brought together. That is, the giving elements, the group elements that we were talking about. Heather having a group and being able to register for different events. That's all under that umbrella. A lighting system is, again, something that we're going to need. We might have access to a kind of donated or borrowed lighting system kind of initially to get off the ground. So that might not be something we need for the 24th, but it will be something that we'll have to, again, expand and continue to grow in the future.
Yeah. And that's important because what happens a lot is churches can use everybody else's equipment, and then that can create some frustration. People don't mind letting the church use their equipment for a season.
Right.
But ultimately, I think it is important that the church has its own equipment.
Sure.
And you never know. Like, you might have people that are a part of your church for a season, and you become dependent upon that person's equipment, and then they leave the church.
Yeah.
It's really important that you're autonomous and working toward having your own equipment.
Yeah, definitely. So the next thing again on this list is a streaming camera. Again, we can function with what I have for now, but again, like Bobby was just saying, having some dedicated equipment, having a multiple camera shoot is always a much better front door. Streaming switcher, again, something very similar. CCLI license and streaming software. This is something I'll take just a quick second on. Being a musician, obviously I have guitars behind me. I've been playing in bands and writing music and recording music for a long time. What this basically is it's a way that the artists that write the music that we perform on Sunday mornings gets paid. And that is important. I mean, one of the things that we are going to strive to continue to do, I know this has been a value of yours in the past, as the Conways in the past, has been continuing to grow and develop artists and letting them, write music. But initially, we will play other people's music as well. So even though we do have songwriters and we want to continue to raise up that value, we will still be playing other people's music, particularly initially here up front. And we want to make sure that we are legal, right? That we're not stealing someone else's music, that when we stream, I've known several smaller churches particularly start to stream, and I heard of this a number of times at the beginning of COVID, where churches says, oh man, we got to stream, and they grabbed a phone and they put their service on Facebook, and then Facebook would shut it down. And they couldn't understand why their stream got shut down. Well, that's because they didn't have the proper licensing to be able to play the music while they were streaming. And so that, again, that's just a value of ours, that we want to be above board legally on that thing. We want to continue to value musicians and pay them what they deserve for writing and performing their music. And CCLI is the company that kind of funnels that money together and then distributes it out to the musicians. So if we want to continue to stream music, like on Sunday when we had our virtual event, we didn't have music that we were playing. We didn't do a worship set, and partly because we don't have the CCLI license, we don't have that streaming capability yet. So that would be one big thing that we would need initially to be able to stream and perform worship music. Even, again, just publicly to a group of people, we should have that licensing agreement.
For sure.
wireless headset. That's, again, when Bobby's speaking, to be able to hear, he needs a wireless microphone. Speakers, again, those are the speakers that the sound comes out of, speaker stands, a stool, a high stool for Bobby to sit on. We do have a table already coming, so that's already been purchased. So something that Bobby can put his Bible on, or resources or whatnot. And then we're thinking equipment storage. If we want to cart this stuff back and forth, we need to have some places that keeps it, in good condition, that we store things well. We're also thinking about some children's items. I know that maybe Heather can talk to this as well as our mom here on staff, right? But as a dad that has 2 kids that are super excited about this launch, and they're really excited about what we're going to be doing and meeting new friends, that we want to continue to value the family and be able to make sure that families can join us. So Heather, maybe you can talk about that from a mom's perspective and kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because we're empty nesters, so it's not like the first thing that pops in my head. However, we value kids. We love kids. Kids are our future.
That's right.
It's a true statement.
Yeah.
But right now, it kind of goes back to the rubber band illustration that Bobby was talking about the other night.
Yeah.
That we have to be flexible right now. And so for right now, the kids, it's going to be more of a family worship kind of thing. And it's also going to be dependent on what facility we have and don't have. So right now, we're going to be meeting at a warehouse with no place to really put the kids. So we're going to just really encourage family worship. But going forward, when we do launch, we're obviously going to have children's ministries.
Absolutely.
We're going to have top of the line everything because we value kids. But right now, it's going to be more family centered.
Yeah.
So.
And we always value the by family centered. I could see some people thinking, well, okay, so we're not going to be family centered once, and we'd say that we recognize that there is a trajectory of the way that people grow. I mean, you can look at, you don't put necessarily a kindergartner in physics. And so, so my teaching style, for example, is probably not going to be as conducive to a 3-year-old. I think of my nephews.
Yeah.
If I wanted to talk about the theistic implications of how justification relates to sanctification, and the epistemological
I'm in my 40s.
grounding.
I don't know that I want that.
Yeah. Well, case in point. So there is levels where you want people to grow into learning. That's not to say that if people want to have that family experience, they can. But I know for me as a father, I would welcome when my kids are in that preschool stage to put them in an age-appropriate learning experience.
Yeah.
As I think sometimes parents think, oh, they're just learning by osmosis because they're in the worship center. They're observing by osmosis.
Yeah.
And those observations learn things, but you're not really able to articulate theology at 2 years of age in that way.
Right.
So all that to say, we will have children's ministries. That's a way around it. I do think that
But
the
right
student...
now, we're going to...
Exactly.
We don't have a place for them per se. So.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, but we're excited.
So that category there is kind of all encompassing. Some of that, it might be activities for the kids. It might be setting us up for future, whether we have to create some walls or barriers. So we're adding that in there. We realize it is a vision. Let me talk real quickly before we move on to the next. Kind of what we're going to talk about and wrap things up. We don't want to make this too long. Yeah. But I do have some colors, as you will notice there. There are some colors, blue, purple, and red. And those colors go to they coordinate with the giving on the website. So again, imagechurchlive.churchcenter.com/giving, and there's a drop-down menu there where you can select a different fund, and those colors kind of coordinate with the different funds. So there's kind of a general startup cost, a general startup fund that you can give to. There's a technology, that's kind of some of the software that we have there, and then there's an audio video category. So if you saw something on that list that you feel like, man, I really can contribute something to web hosting for the next year, or I feel like, man, God's really touched my heart to, give the $1,800 for a sound console, you can go ahead and put it in that category. And I believe that there's a place where you can make a little note that says, for X, Y, and Z. We'll try to communicate this even on the Facebook group, just maybe some of those larger items that we need with the specific link that goes right to that when we're all finished up here. But I just wanted to make sure that that's why I had the colors up there, as the colors kind of coordinate with with the funds.
I
So,
appreciate you thinking about me because I'm colorblind,
Right.
so I can't really distinguish what the colors are.
well, you can just give to all of them then. That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's right.
fund the whole
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
That'll be the running joke, is that we'll keep color coordinating things just so that
Yeah,
confuse
just
you.
so I can thank you. Thank you. Well, Tim, I want to thank you for sharing this and putting this list together. Is there anything else as it relates to this that you'd want them to know before we change subjects?
I don't think so. I think we've kind of covered everything that I had that we had walked through. Again, I'm sure there's questions that are coming up from people as this goes, and we'll do our best to continue to just answer those on the Facebook group and via email the best we can.
Okay, that sounds good. I think one of the statements I'm seeing right there is, are there line items beyond number 22?
There's
Number 23, children's.
right, yeah, 23, and then I think the one that below that was the trailer that we talked about.
The trailer, yeah.
we
Again,
already
so
talked
some of
about
these
that.
things are future.
Right.
Like for example, we don't have space, as Heather was talking about, for like childcare or children's ministries. So we're not asking for help with the toys at this time. But that's another motivation for us, right? We're still asking. One of the things we're going to talk about next week with you is volunteerism. And we are going to talk about how important it is to have people volunteering. So, when you think about giving our life away, think about time, talent, and treasures. And so right now we're talking about giving out of your treasures. You have gifts, and that's talent. And when you're using your talent, that takes time. And so we're going to talk next week. We're kind of hitting the treasures piece, but next week we're going to talk a little bit about how you can give of your talents and of your time. And that can shape up if maybe looking for facilities. We have a need to find a spot for our pre-launch team to be able to meet that would allow for space of, I'm going to say, 100 to 200 people, and then maybe an off space as well where we could put, 30 to 50 kids and give them an experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're looking for. And look, you could be at home and you go, you know what, I've got some time on my hands and I'm a pretty self-motivated individual, and I'm going to figure out how to go about finding us a spot so that we can have a place to meet. We got the warehouse and we're thankful for that, but it doesn't fix this need that we have with the kids. Right. So next week during staff meeting, we're going to just come on live with you. We're going to be sharing some thoughts about volunteerism and what that looks like. And I do want you to hear me say again, we do not want to burn you out before we launch. Okay. Right now we're kind of in an assessment period too. Heather's going to be meeting with the women. We're going to be having men's studies, and it's going to be a time to begin to really assess what are the gifts, what is the makeup of the group that we have. And as we're becoming aware and we're thinking about your gifts in light of the ministries that we're going to launch, we'll start thinking about the kind of training that we need to prepare everybody so that when launch day comes, we are all serving in a spot, we all feel equipped, and we're all trained and ready to roll. But the task at hand right now before us is getting these types of products. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, you've been asking for funds, Bobby, to be coming in the last couple of weeks. Why not just put all that toward this? And I would say, remember what I said, we're trying to create a runway. We're trying to create a financial runway. And if you could think of like Image Church as a plane, and it's on the runway, but it couldn't even begin to move down the runway. There was no budget. And we want to be able to, we're trying to create a runway so that we've got some savings. Not only that, we've got staff now that we're talking about, which we haven't even started this paying staff yet. But that's going to start happening as well. So we need to create that budget, and then this itemized list really allows us to come in and tackle these types of things. And so the goal then is when we do launch, that we take this bad boy not only down the runway that's been created through God's gracious resources to us, but we get this bad boy off the ground and we go on this journey together to see what God has for us.
Definitely.
Make sense?
Makes perfect
Absolutely.
sense. So again, I'll say one last thing, just kind of a quick reminder, because I know that Peter asked about this. The groups that we're kind of forming, you can find information about that at that churchcenter.com site. If you go on there, there should be a link that you can click on. The groups will post the women-specific information in that post that Heather did earlier. So we'll go ahead and put a link right to her group in there. And again, you can contact her, you can request joining, and just general information, and then that way we'll be able to communicate to those specific people that are interested and when those events are. We're going to be doing the same thing for the guys as information comes out. We already have a page up for the guys as well, but we'll kind of let you know when we're looking to meet and at what frequency. So I just know that was a question that came up earlier today that we wanted to just address, and we'll make sure that we continue to communicate that.
Yeah, I think I could communicate that. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. The goal for the men, it's a little bit, would wonky be a good word?
Yeah.
Remember, starting on the 24th, we're going to do an every other Sunday night meeting at the warehouse that we talked about.
Right.
And we're thankful for that. But on the off Sunday nights, we are going to go through the same book as the ladies are, Anatomy of the Soul. And what we want to know is, let us know, guys, if you plan to sign up for that, and we'll put a post out too, just to let people know.
Yeah.
But that's the plan. We'll be able to create a virtual option if we can get everybody to do it on that night. That would be great. And then what will happen though is if we end up getting another space and we go to like a weekly experience, that's that whole rubber band thing. Now, the every other week men's study, we're going to need to transition that to another time. So we just want to prepare you in advance that we could be starting with this and doing a couple weeks, but then God could provide a space, and then we'll be talking about another slot for that.
Yeah, awesome.
All good problems.
All good things. All good things.
Did you have anything that you wanted to share as we kind of close out?
No, just it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing how the puzzle's going to get put together and see how the funds are going to come together for Image Church.
Absolutely.
All right, with that, we'll say see you later, and we'll talk to you soon.